All right, Saagar, what are you looking at?
Well, if you were to ask me, one of the best things that Trump ever did for the city of Washington, D.C., it would have been killing the White House Correspondents Dinner. I know it sounds trivial in practice, but it actually mattered for far-reaching reasons that I'm going to outline today. You see, the Obama presidency fully completed the merger of elite media with the elites who ran the country. It completed the class transition of journalists to elite regime defenders rather than those who are paid to question the regime. Now, this happened for a variety of reasons, but as Matt Taibbi has so eloquently described, the main reason is class. Journalism used to be a profession that was working class, and it drew muckrakers. And it increased in status slowly over time, and soon it became a way to enter the American aristocracy. It was symbolized best in the White House Correspondents Dinner, professional stenographers who gather with Hollywood and business elites to impress upon the world they are among the pinnacles of power. Their job used to be to question it. And under Trump, we actually had somewhat of a return, at least in rhetoric, to that oppositional posture that should exist between journalists and the White House. After Michelle's Wolf performance at the WHCA in 2017, coincidentally, also while I was a card-carrying member of the White House Correspondents Association, the organization actually did something useful for once. They decided, you know what, screw all this Hollywood glitz and nonsense. Let's use the organization for something useful. Imagine that. And for a brief shining moment, they did something good. The WHCA invited historian Ron Chernow to the dinner to help the journalists understand their place in history and place the current times in context. Chernow is by far one of the greatest biographers of American presidents that is alive today. It was an inspired choice, and it sought to use the event not only to raise money for journalism scholarships, but to actually educate the journalists in question. Sadly, it was a one-off event. And now that Biden's back in power and COVID is mostly done, the regime is solidly trying to recreate the glory days in the most pathetic way possible. The organization announced yesterday that a comedian, and I guess that is his technical title, Trevor Noah, the host of The Daily Show, will host the White House Correspondents' Dinner. That is a terrible choice for many number of reasons. Number one, it shows that the WHCA made the explicit choice to reject the new course, return to try to make themselves as cool people in entertainment and Hollywood. They couldn't stand not hobnobbing with the powerful for so many years. That is as close to fame as most of these people are ever going to get. But number two, it's the obvious. Not only is Trevor Noah not that funny, but his political comedy, it only goes one way. Noah is about as reliable as a Democratic mouthpiece that exists. In fact, Noah has boasted that he is glad not to make jokes about Joe Biden. His idea of a joke, apparently, is lecturing his audience most recently on critical race theory as to why his adopted country of America should be representative of the Supreme Court. In fact, a review of all of his supposedly newsworthy things that I found of him over the last year shows almost every single time towing the establishment Democratic media identity politics line in support of President Joe Biden. Look at those headlines right there. The guy is not a comedian. He's basically a Democratic Party operative, and frankly, not even a very good one. So, ha ha ha, can't wait for the comedy that night. Sure, Biden may get a few jabs here or there, but Noah is just not simply going to give him the mockery he deserves. In my opinion, the only comedian who ever did a good job at the WHCA was Stephen Colbert, for mocking George W. Bush to his face, making him uncomfortable, insulting him. If you're too young to remember this, here's a taste.
And tonight, it is my privilege to celebrate this president. Because we're not so different, he and I. We both get it. Guys like us, we're not some brainiacs on the nerd patrol. We're not members of the Factinista. We go straight from the gut. Right, sir? That's where the truth lies. Right down here in the gut. Do you know you have more nerve endings in your gut than you have in your head? You can look it up. Now I know some of you are going to say I did look it up, and that's not true. That's because you looked it up in a book. Next time, look it up in your gut.
It's so good, I still cringe, even though I hate George W. Bush to my core. That's what it really looks like, people. Bush deserved it for the disastrous war in Iraq, and at the time he was one of the most unpopular presidents in modern American history. That's what we deserve right now. Joe Biden is one of the worst presidents that we've had in modern times. He is historically unpopular. He blew probably the easiest presidential layup in history, and he deserves to be mocked to his face for what he has done to this country. But the WHCA, they're not going to do that because it doesn't actually challenge power. They can't pick someone who might offend Biden's feelings. And in a way, Noah, the WHCA, and Biden all deserve each other. They are a symbol of a failing dream, that the establishment has any credibility. Noah most recently tried to capitalize on the Joe Rogan controversy by reminding people that he and his show exists because he routinely only gets like 500,000 viewers a show. That's about as bad as the average CNN broadcast. Nobody watches him. If we only got that daily, we would be living under a bridge and this show would be a massive failure. Real comedians, Rogan, Tim Dillon, Andrew Schultz, Bobby Lee, Segura, Kreischer, all those other guys out there, they're crushing Trevor Noah on the daily on the internet. They are crushing him precisely because they're willing to tell jokes that make the people in power upset and are actually funny. Noah is a dying symbol of accepted comedy. The mainstream media who are throwing the event are a dying symbol of what was once trusted as journalism in this country. People who had credibility to deliver the news to you. That's dying, collapsing. They're partying like it's Versailles 1790 because they just can't see how complicit they are in getting us to where we are today. On top of all of that is Biden, himself a literally dying symbol of the old order. They think they can pretend long enough that we'll all just go back to sleep, but it's far too late for that, and they underestimate all of us at their own peril. That's really what I took away from it, Crystal, which is that Trevor Noah, look, I don't think the guy is funny, period.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it, you get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.